Hi guys. Today, before we get started editing our projects together, let's see if we can't think of a way of keeping our stuff organized when we have multiple sequences and multiple scenes. So as you can see here, I've got some, I would say, easily recognizable footage here. I've got 3 clips of a river, and I've got 3 clips of a street at night. So it's pretty clear which one is which sequence belongs with which sort of scene, which footage belongs to each scene. So if you have a scene that you shot outside and a scene that you shot inside, it should be pretty easy to tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of organize this within Adobe Premiere by creating what's called bins. So I'm in the editing workspace here. If you want to click on this little sort of drop-down menu and just say reset to save layout, it should, you should see basically what I'm seeing. And so you kind of need to have the editing workspace available here. And down below, let me get my little magnifier here. Okay. And we'll just sort of zoom in down here. We can see there's this little sort of folder icon that you can click, and it creates a new bin. And I'm going to call the first bin River, and then I'm going to make another bin, and I'll call the other bin Street. Okay, so I've got this. Now it can tell us that we don't have any items there, and what we'll do is we'll just open up River. And so now we are in bins.pproj, river. Okay, so from there, I'm going to grab my river clips here. Just hold down Control and tap the ones that I want and get those in. So great. Okay, so now I've got this little window over here. Let me zoom in a little bit just to show you this window here, this little panel over here. Essentially, I can access my project, and I can kind of see the different bins that I've got. And I've got river with 3 items, and I've got street with 0 items at this point. So with that done, what I can do now is I can open up my street, and I can actually enter in my street footage. Just pop that in there as well. All right, great. Okay, so what I want to do essentially is this. I can navigate between my different bins by going up through here, or I can open these up and it'll take me right to them. Or I can click over here, this little arrow over here, and I can actually click on the different projects. I can click on my river, I can click on various things. My favorite is just to have them all open and just be able to click back and forth between them. And so if, say for instance, we've got a lot of shots to go in here, we can keep this pretty well organized by simply sorting through the different bins and creating our sequences for our different scenes inside these bins. So I'll just drag in my traffic here, and as you can see, the moment I do that, it creates this little sequence. I can close this out, and I can call this little sequence up. In fact, I can just click on this, and I can call this traffic scene, right? And so I'll have this little sequence here called traffic scene. And so from there, what I can do is I can just drag in the rest of my footage. Okay, so go back to my project. So now I've got 4 items in my street bin, and I'm just going to close this out, right? So I'll have this closed. With River, I'll do the same thing. In fact, I'll just drag all 3 of them out here, and I'll shorten these up a good deal. Let's make sure that everything fits in just fine. Good, cool. All right, so I'll just sort of... Okay, so now I've got another sequence. Once again, going to my project, I can see I've got 4 items in River, I've got 4 items in Street. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to close this out. I'm actually going to make a new sequence under my project here. I'm going to call it File, New Sequence. And what I'll do is, there's a lot of stuff kind of going on here. 1080p24. This is a 1920 by 1080 image here. Set to HD. I think this is the default. It doesn't matter though, because what I'm going to call it Final Sequence, right? And if you wanted to name it something like this, for instance, you call this, dialogue or film or whatever project you've got, last name plus project, 5 or whatever it is you got going on. And from there, what we're going to do is we're actually going to open up our river, and we're going to drag in our sequence. We're actually going to drag in the sequence, not any of the clips. So drag in the sequence, and it's really going to ask this. It says, this clip does not match the sequence settings. Change sequence to match the clip settings. Change sequence settings, right? So at least one of those, you want that to change. So in this case, we've changed it. I want to say this probably got a little bit bigger. That's okay, because what's going to happen is we're going to go over to our street bin, and we'll drag in our traffic scene here. And let's take a look here. It looks like everything fits just fine. Cool. All right, so now what's cool about this, I go back to my project bins and I see Labella Project 5 is here. This is the sequence that I'm operating with right now. The sequence has 2 sequences in it. What's cool about this is that if at any point, if I'm looking through these different sequences, I can kind of go through here and I can kind of see, there's a frame of black. Okay, so I have this little frame of black here. I don't want that. So I can, you know, search over here for that sequence, or I can simply double click on that sequence and it opens it up in a new tab. And so I see right here I can kind of pull this down a bit and sort of shrink that down, and so now we don't have that frame of black anymore. And so I can close out this sequence. But now what happens is we've got this little frame of black between these 2 sequences, so I can sort of zoom in real close, and you'll notice that because I had this sequence originally kind of ending at like 35 seconds or so, it left me with this this little gap here where there's nothing there now. So I'm just going to right click it and delete, and so now we shouldn't have any frames of black. You can do a little visual check to make sure that that you've got that going on. All right, so this is just a quick idea. So from here, you could actually add in whatever titles you want, right? And so in this case, you could put in, you know, like a title across the top, and then you can create your other text element to come at the very end, and say edited by, and then you could just put your whoever edited the footage. Obviously, bring back the opacity a little bit here, and then we can have our final credits. Okay, so essentially what we're thinking here is that this is just a way of keeping all of your footage separated and all of your footage organized. And instead of having a bunch of things to kind of deal with on one timeline, we've got a simpler array of clips arranged inside your sequences. So if we wanted to go back to our street view, we could look at our street view. We could change the order around. And we could, just see if like maybe one works better than the other. I could trim this up a little bit if I wanted to. I could, maneuver things around. I come back here. The changes has been reflected inside the sequence as it happens. This is just an easy way of keeping all your stuff organized and keeping your stuff just kind of like a little more streamlined. All right, so very cool. Can't wait to see you guys produce for your next project. If you got any questions, let me know. See you in class.